Ethan Cale had learned long ago that the frontier planet Zareth did not forgive mistakes. The sky was always the color of old steel, heavy with electric dust clouds that crackled with silent storms. Sharp black mountains cut through the land like broken glass, and the wind howled through the valleys as if the planet itself was alive and angry. Ethan lived here because no one else wanted to. As a freelance miner and salvage hunter, Zareth offered danger, loneliness, and just enough profit to survive. That morning, Ethan guided his small crawler across a rocky plain, its engines humming steadily. He was scanning the ground for mineral readings when a sudden spike appeared on his display. It was not a natural signal. It was metal. Ship-grade metal. Ethan slowed the crawler and climbed out, pulling his jacket tighter against the cold wind. He followed the scanner readings toward a shallow canyon. As he approached the edge, he saw twisted wreckage half buried in dust and stone. A small alien ship, badly damaged, its hull torn open as if something had ripped it apart mid-air. Ethan frowned. Wrecks on Zareth usually meant pirates, smugglers, or very bad luck. Most scavengers would mark the location and come back with weapons or friends. Ethan did neither. He climbed down into the canyon alone. The ship was unlike anything he had seen before. The metal shimmered faintly, reflecting light in soft colors. Symbols etched into the hull glowed dimly, as if the ship was still alive in some way. Ethan felt a strange pull as he approached, a sense that this wreck was important. Then he saw her. She lay several meters from the ship, partially sheltered by a fallen rock. She was tall and slender, her skin a soft silver blue, smooth like polished stone. Long dark hair spread across the ground, and her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive, but barely. Ethan froze. He had seen aliens before. Zareth was far from civilized space, but traders and travelers passed through now and then. Still, something about this woman was different. There was a quiet presence around her. A calm, even in injury. As if the world bent slightly toward her. He moved closer, careful not to startle her. Her clothing was torn and scorched, but it was clearly advanced, woven with faint lines of light that pulsed weakly. There was a deep wound along her side, dark fluid slowly seeping out. Ethan swallowed. Leaving her here would mean death. Helping her could mean trouble. Danger. Maybe worse. He looked at the wrecked ship, then at the endless hostile land around them. He sighed. "Guess I'm not walking away today," he muttered. He gently lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than she looked, almost fragile. As he carried her back to the crawler, her eyes fluttered open briefly. They were a deep violet, bright even through pain. She looked at him, confusion and fear flashing for just a moment before darkness took her again. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Back at his outpost, a small structure made of reinforced scrap and stone, Ethan laid her on his only bed. He activated his medical scanner, adjusting it for non-human biology. The readings were strange but not impossible to understand. Her body was fighting hard to survive. For hours, Ethan worked carefully, cleaning the wound and sealing it with universal medgel. He monitored her breathing, adjusted temperatures, and stayed awake long past exhaustion. Outside, a dust storm rolled in, pounding the outpost walls, but inside, there was only silence and the soft hum of equipment. When she finally stirred again, the storm had passed, and weak sunlight filtered through the small window. She opened her eyes slowly and looked around. Her gaze settled on Ethan, who was sitting nearby, half asleep in a chair. She made a soft sound, not quite a word, more like a musical note. Ethan jerked awake. "Hey," he said gently, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "Easy. You're safe. I think." She tried to sit up but winced in pain. Ethan stood and helped her stay still. "Don't move too much. You were hurt pretty bad." She watched him closely, studying his face as if memorizing it. Then she spoke again. A few quiet sounds that carried emotion but no meaning Ethan could understand. "I don't know your language," Ethan admitted, "but I can try to help." She seemed to understand his tone. Slowly, she lifted one hand and placed it over her chest. "Lysara," she said softly. Ethan nodded. "Okay. Lysara. I'm Ethan." She repeated his name carefully, the sound slightly altered but clear enough. E. Then, over the next few days, Lysara regained strength. Communication was slow but improving. She used gestures, expressions, and simple sounds. Ethan responded with patience, drawing pictures and pointing at objects. There were moments of confusion, but also quiet laughter, when understanding finally clicked. Ethan noticed strange things about her. Sometimes, when she slept, the lights in the room would flicker gently. Once, when he dropped a tool, it slowed in the air before hitting the ground, as if caught by an unseen force. Lysara always looked away when these things happened, as if pretending they did not. Ethan did not press her. Everyone had secrets, especially out here. At night, he told her about Zareth, about mining contracts that barely paid enough, about choosing this lonely life because it was simpler than dealing with powerful corporations. Lysara listened closely, her eyes thoughtful. In return, she spoke of her people in careful, limited ways. She described a world filled with light, harmony, and responsibility. She spoke of duty, of balance, and of watching over others. Ethan assumed she was some kind of diplomat or traveler. He never imagined more. What Ethan did not know was that Lysara was Queen Lysara Valentyr, ruler of the Celestari. An ancient and powerful civilization, she had been traveling in secret, studying outer systems, when her ship was attacked by mercenaries hired by enemies who feared her influence. She had escaped only because of her ship's emergency jump, which brought her to Zareth before systems failed completely. Now, lying in a miner's outpost, she was more vulnerable than she had ever been. And yet, as days passed, Lysara realized something important. Ethan had no idea who she was, no idea of her power or importance. He helped her not because of duty or politics, but because it was the right thing to do. This simple truth moved her more deeply than any formal loyalty ever had. One evening, as Zareth's twin moons rose, Lysara stood with Ethan outside the outpost, supported by a walking brace he had built. She looked at the harsh land stretching endlessly before them. "This world is cruel," she said slowly, choosing each word with care. Ethan smiled faintly. "Yeah, it is. But it's honest." She turned to him. "You chose to help me. You did not know me." Ethan shrugged. "Didn't matter who you were. You needed help." Lysara studied him, her expression unreadable. Deep within her, a vow began to form. This human had saved her life, with no expectation of reward. Whatever dangers followed, whatever enemies came searching, she would not allow harm to reach him. Far beyond Zareth, forces were already moving. Signals from her ship's last transmission had been detected. Hunters were on their way, but for now, under the cold light of alien moons, a human miner and an unknown alien woman stood together, unaware that their meeting would one day echo across the galaxy. The days after Lysara began walking again felt calm on the surface, but something unseen was changing around Ethan's outpost. Zareth was never truly quiet. The wind always carried distant echoes, and the ground often trembled with deep movements far below. Ethan noticed these things more than usual now. He could not explain why, but he felt watched. Lysara sensed it too. She spent more time standing near the window, her eyes focused on the horizon. Sometimes she closed her eyes and placed her hand against the metal wall, breathing slowly. Ethan asked her once what she was doing, but she only smiled gently and said she was listening. Ethan accepted that answer. He had learned that Lysara did not speak unless she felt ready. Their bond grew through simple moments. They worked together, repairing tools, preparing food, and maintaining the crawler. Lysara learned quickly, her movements precise and graceful. She adapted to human technology with ease, often understanding systems faster than Ethan expected. One afternoon, while repairing a damaged power relay, Ethan slipped and cut his hand on sharp metal. Blood welled up instantly. He cursed under his breath. Before he could reach for a bandage, Lysara took his hand. Her touch was warm. She closed her eyes, and a faint glow spread from her fingers. The pain faded. When she released him, the wound was sealed. The skin smooth as if it had never been cut. Ethan stared at his hand. Then he looked at her. "You healed me," he said quietly. Lysara hesitated. For a moment, fear crossed her face. Then she nodded. "Yes." Ethan exhaled slowly. "Okay," he said. "That's new." She watched him closely, waiting for anger or fear. When neither came, relief softened her expression. "You're not scared?" she asked. "I should be," Ethan admitted. "But you saved my life. Twice now, I think. That counts for something." Lysara lowered her eyes. "There is much you do not know." Ethan shrugged. "Same goes for you." That night, Ethan picked up a strange signal on his long-range scanner. It was faint but clear enough to identify as a ship transmission. Not civilian. Not friendly. He felt a cold knot form in his stomach. He did not wake Lysara immediately. Instead, he double-checked the readings, adjusted frequencies, and traced the signal's direction. It was moving toward Zareth. Fast. "By morning," he told her. "They're coming," he said. "Whoever attacked your ship didn't give up." Lysara closed her eyes. "I feared this." Ethan studied her face. "How bad is it?" She met his gaze. "They will not stop." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then we need to move. I can hide the crawler in the canyon system to the east. There are old tunnels from abandoned mining operations. Sensors get confused down there." Lysara placed a hand on his arm. "They will still find us." "Maybe," Ethan said. "But we won't make it easy." They worked quickly. Ethan packed supplies, weapons, and power cells. Lysara assisted. Her movements faster now. Her strength nearly restored. As they prepared to leave, a distant rumble shook the ground. A ship broke through the clouds above, dark and angular, its engines roaring like a storm. It did not land. It hovered, scanning the surface. "They're here," Ethan said. They barely reached the crawler before energy beams struck the outpost, tearing through metal and stone. The structure that had sheltered Ethan for years collapsed in flames behind them. Ethan slammed the crawler into motion, steering toward the canyon. Blasts struck the ground around them, sending debris flying. Lysara stood behind him, her hands glowing faintly as she raised a shimmering barrier that deflected smaller strikes. Ethan glanced back, eyes wide. "You could have done that the whole time?" "I did not wish to reveal myself," she said calmly. The crawler plunged into the canyon just as the ship fired again. The narrow walls blocked direct fire. Ethan pushed the engines hard, navigating sharp turns and falling rocks. They reached the tunnels just as ground troops began descending from the ship. Armed figures moved with precision, their armor marked with unfamiliar symbols. Ethan shut down the crawler deep within the tunnels. Darkness surrounded them, broken only by faint lights from Lysara's suit. "We'll wait," he whispered. Footsteps echoed above. Voices spoke in harsh tones, scanning equipment humming. One mercenary dropped into the tunnel entrance, then another. Ethan held his breath. When the mercenaries moved closer, Lysara stepped forward. She raised her hand, and the air seemed to bend. A wave of force pushed outward, slamming the intruders into the walls. They fell unconscious without a sound. Ethan stared. "You could wipe them out." "Yes," Lysara said. "But I will not kill unless I must." More mercenaries advanced. Ethan activated traps he had set years ago, collapsing tunnel sections and releasing dust clouds that blinded sensors. Together, human planning and alien power slowed the attackers. But they were too many. "We can't stay," Ethan said. "They'll overwhelm us." Lysara nodded. "There is something I must show you." She led him deeper into the tunnels until they reached a sealed chamber. With a gesture, she activated a hidden device. The wall slid open, revealing a small craft, sleek and glowing. Ethan blinked. "You hid this here?" "It separated from my ship during the crash," Lysara said. "I guided it here." They boarded quickly. As the craft lifted off, mercenary fire struck its shields. But they held. The ship shot out of the canyon and into the sky. Only then did Lysara turn to Ethan fully. "I must tell you the truth," she said. She straightened, her posture changing. The gentle traveler was gone. In her place stood someone commanding, ancient, powerful. Symbols appeared on her clothing, glowing with authority. "I am Lysara Volunteer," she said, "Queen of the Celestari." Ethan felt the words hit him harder than any explosion. "A queen," he repeated quietly. "Yes." He laughed once, short and breathless. "Of course you are." She looked at him carefully. "You are angry." "No," Ethan said, "just shocked." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw the weight she carried. "You could have left me," he said. "The first day. You didn't need me." "I needed you," Lysara said softly. "Not for survival, for understanding." The mercenary ship followed them into the upper atmosphere. "They won't stop," Ethan said. "So what now?" "Your Majesty?" Lysara smiled, just a little. "Now," she said, "we show them why humans should never be underestimated." As the craft accelerated toward the stars, Ethan realized something profound. He had rescued a queen without knowing it. And now, with enemies closing in, she was standing beside him, not above him. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The small Celestari craft surged forward, its engines humming with a smooth, powerful sound that felt nothing like human machines. Stars stretched into long lines as the ship entered faster than light travel. Ethan gripped the seat, his heart still racing from everything that had happened. Only hours ago, he had been a miner on Zareth. Now, he was fleeing through space with an alien queen and mercenaries chasing them. Lysara stood calmly beside the navigation console, her eyes focused, her presence steady. She adjusted the ship's course with gentle movements, as if the craft responded directly to her thoughts. Ethan broke the silence. "So, a queen?" Lysara glanced at him, then nodded. "Yes." He let out a slow breath. "You know, most people would have opened with that." She lowered her gaze slightly. "If you had known, would you have helped me?" Ethan thought about it. "Yeah. Probably. But I might have acted different. Careful. Afraid of doing the wrong thing. That is why I did not tell you," she said. "I needed to know who you truly were." Ethan nodded. He did not like secrets, but he understood this one. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a dead system, a place with no habitable worlds and very little traffic. Broken asteroids drifted slowly. Remnants of an ancient collision. "They will track us here," Ethan said, studying the readings. "Yes," Lysara replied, but not immediately. She turned to face him fully. "There is something else you must understand. My people are powerful, but we are not invincible. Many fear us. Some wish to control us. Others wish to destroy us." Ethan crossed his arms. "And humans?" Lysara hesitated. "Most do not take humans seriously." Ethan smiled faintly. "Yeah, we get that a lot." Before Lysara could respond, alarms sounded. The mercenary ship exited faster than light space at the edge of the system. "Guess they're persistent," Ethan said. Lysara's expression hardened. "Then we end this." She guided the craft toward the asteroid field. Ethan moved to the weapons console, unfamiliar symbols glowing across the surface. "I don't know how to use this," he said. "You will," Lysara replied calmly. The mercenary ship followed them into the field, firing energy blasts that shattered smaller asteroids. Ethan swerved through narrow gaps, using unpredictable movements learned from flying through Zareth's canyons. "They're faster," he said. "But not smarter," Lysara replied. Ethan noticed something then. The Celestari ship did not respond instantly to standard commands. But when he trusted his instincts, when he moved with intention rather than calculation, the ship followed perfectly. "It's reading me," he said. "Yes," Lysara said. "It responds to will." Ethan grinned. "That's new." He guided the ship behind a massive asteroid and cut power, letting momentum carry them silently. The mercenary ship overshot their position, sensors searching blindly. Now, Ethan whispered. Lysara raised her hands, focusing. Energy rippled outward, bending space around the asteroid. When the mercenary ship passed again, it slammed into a hidden gravitational pocket and lost control, spiraling wildly. But mercenaries adapted quickly. They stabilized their ship and opened fire again. Ethan saw a warning flash. Their weapons are charging something big. Lysara's voice was steady. They will destroy the entire field to reach us. Ethan's mind raced. He scanned the asteroid field, calculating distances and trajectories. There, he said, pointing. That cluster. If we push it at the right time. I see it, Lysara said. Together, they acted. Lysara amplified the gravitational forces, while Ethan adjusted the ship's position with perfect timing. A chain reaction rippled through the asteroids. Massive rocks collided, accelerating toward the mercenary ship. The enemy vessel fired, destroying several asteroids, but there were too many. The ship's shields flared, then failed. The mercenary ship vanished in a blinding flash. Silence followed. Ethan leaned back, breathing hard. Did we? Yes, Lysara said quietly. They are gone. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. Then he laughed. The sound sharp and relieved. That's one way to do it. But Lysara did not relax. More will come, she said. That ship was only the beginning. Ethan looked at her. Then we need allies. Yes, she agreed. And that brings us to my home. They set course for Celestari space. During the journey, Lysara spoke more openly. She told Ethan of her people's long history, their role as guardians of balance, their strict laws against interference. She spoke of the council that advised her, and of those who questioned her belief in cooperation rather than domination. They will not welcome you easily, she said. Ethan shrugged. Wouldn't be the first time. As they approached Celestari territory, elegant ships surrounded them, weapons ready but not firing. Lysara transmitted her identity. Immediately, the formation shifted. The ships moved aside, escorting them toward a luminous world covered in glowing cities and vast energy fields. Ethan stared. Okay, he admitted. That's impressive. They landed at the capital. Lysara stepped out first, her presence commanding immediate attention. Officials and guards knelt. Ethan followed, feeling very out of place. Inside the council chamber, towering beings and advanced constructs watched them. The air felt heavy with judgment. This human endangered you, one council member said coldly. He draws conflict to our borders. Ah, he saved my life, Lysara replied. And he fought beside me. Another voice rose. Humans are reckless, primitive. Ethan opened his mouth, then stopped. Lysara raised her hand. Let him speak, she said. Ethan stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. You're right, he said. Humans are reckless. We don't always have the best technology. We mess up a lot. But when someone needs help, we help. Not because of power or reward. Because it's right. The chamber fell silent. One council member studied him. Words are easy. Ethan nodded. So is hiding behind power. A murmur spread. Lysara watched him with something close to pride. Before the council could respond, alarms rang through the chamber. Incoming attack, a voice announced. Multiple hostile vessels. The mercenaries were back. Stronger. More prepared. They followed us, Ethan said. Lysara turned to the council. Now you will see. As the city's shields activated, Lysara looked at Ethan. Stay close, she said. He met her gaze. I'm not going anywhere. Outside, enemy ships darkened the sky. The true test was about to begin. And for the first time in a long while, the Celestari would fight not alone, but beside a human who refused to stand down. The sky above the Celestari capital shimmered as energy shields flared to life. Towers of light rose from the city, forming a vast protective dome. Beyond it, enemy ships appeared from faster-than-light travel, dark shapes against the glowing stars. Their weapons charged, filling space with a deep, threatening hum. Inside the council chamber, tension spread like a storm. "They have come in force," one council member said. "Our defenses can hold, but not without cost." Lasara stood tall at the center of the chamber, her expression calm but resolute. "Then we pay the cost together," she said. "This threat exists because they fear unity." Ethan watched the towering beings around him. Advanced technology surrounded them, yet he could sense hesitation, uncertainty. They had power, but they were unused to fighting alongside someone so different. "Queen Lasara," a counselor said, "the human should be escorted to safety." Ethan took a step forward. "No," he said firmly. "I can help." Several eyes turned toward him. "You are untrained," another counselor said. "You will only become a liability." Ethan did not raise his voice. "Maybe. But I've fought these people before. They think in patterns. I don't." Lasara turned to the council. "I trust him." That single sentence carried immense weight. Reluctantly, the council agreed. They moved to the command center, a vast open space filled with floating displays and shifting light. Outside the shields, the enemy ships began firing. Energy waves slammed into the dome, causing ripples of light to spread across its surface. "They are testing our strength," Lasara said. Ethan studied the displays. "They're not trying to break through all at once. They're mapping response times." He pointed to a cluster of ships. "Those three are coordinating fire. They're forcing you to overcompensate." A Celestari commander adjusted the shields. "How do you know this?" Ethan shrugged. "That's how pirates work." "Same mindset." Lasara nodded. "Do as he says." The shield patterns shifted. Enemy fire began to miss its mark, dispersing harmlessly. Frustrated, the mercenary fleet changed tactics. Smaller ships broke formation, diving toward the city in fast attack runs. "They're trying to overload individual shield points," Ethan said. "They'll sacrifice smaller ships to create an opening." Lasara's hands glowed as she strengthened the shield nodes. But the strain showed on her face. The Celestari could endure, but at great personal cost. Ethan saw it immediately. "You can't keep this up," he said quietly. "I must," Lasara replied. "If the shield falls." "It won't," Ethan said. "Not like this." He moved to a control interface, fingers hovering over unfamiliar symbols. "You trust me?" Lasara met his eyes. "With my life." Ethan swallowed and acted. Instead of reinforcing the shields, he rerouted energy flow, creating controlled weak points. To the Celestari commanders, it looked like a mistake. "Human, stop!" one shouted. "Wait," Lasara said. Enemy ships surged toward the weak points, sensing victory. At the last moment, Ethan triggered a reversal. The weak points collapsed inward, trapping the attacking ships inside a compressed energy field. Lasara amplified the effect, her power precise and controlled. The trapped ships shut down, drifting powerless. A stunned silence followed. "They overcommitted," Ethan said. "Now they're exposed." The Celestari fleet launched, elegant ships streaking through the shield openings. They did not pursue destruction, but disablement. One by one, enemy vessels were neutralized, but the largest enemy ship remained, its core weapon charged, drawing energy from the disabled ships. "That weapon can pierce the shield," a commander said. Lasara's eyes widened. "It will require a life force seal to stop it." Ethan turned to her. "What does that mean?" "It means I would bind myself to the shield," she said calmly. "If the weapon fires, I will absorb it." Ethan shook his head. No. This is my duty," Lasara said. "I am queen. And I'm human," Ethan said. "We don't trade lives like that." He studied the display, mind racing, the weapon's charge cycle, the energy flow, the timing. "There's another way," he said. "Riskier." Lasara looked at him. "Tell me." "We let it fire," Ethan said, "at the shield's strongest point. Then we redirect the energy back along the firing path." The room fell silent. That could destroy both ships, a commander said. Or just theirs, Ethan replied. If the timing's right. Lysara closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, there was trust there. Absolute and unshaken. Do it, she said. The enemy ship fired. A beam of unimaginable power struck the shield. The dome flared white-hot. Energy screamed through the system. Now, Ethan shouted. Lysara acted instantly. She guided the energy, bending it with everything she had. Ethan triggered the reversal at the precise moment. The beam snapped back, tearing through space and slamming into the enemy ship's core. The vessel imploded silently, vanishing in a flash of light. The battlefield fell quiet. Inside the command center, relief washed over everyone. The threat was gone. Lysara staggered. Ethan caught her before she fell. You okay? He asked. She smiled weakly. You saved me. He shook his head. We saved each other. In the days that followed, the Celestari honored Ethan as a guest of the crown. The council's tone changed. Where there had been doubt, there was now respect. You have shown us something we forgot, one counselor said. That strength is not only power, but choice. Lysara stood beside Ethan, her expression proud. Humans are not lesser, she said. They are different. And that difference matters. Ethan looked out over the glowing city, still trying to understand how his life had changed. I didn't rescue a queen, he said quietly to Lysara later. I rescued a person. She looked at him, her eyes warm. And that is why I would lay down my life for you. Ethan met her gaze. Good thing you don't have to. Above them, the stars burned brightly. Two worlds, once distant, now stood connected by trust, courage, and one simple act of kindness that proved the galaxy had underestimated humanity.